What's up everyone, I'm Gushi. A trailer for the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima just came out on September 24th. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the trailer every bit and piece. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first major information that we have is that this game is located in Mount Yotei in 1603. We take a look at a map of Japan. Mount Yotei is located on the very top on the island of Hokkaido. This location is important because in 1603, this marked the start of the Edo period or the Tokugawa period, which lasted all the way to 1868. During this time, of course, Japan was ruled by the Tokugawa shogunate, but their rule only extended to the three lower islands, Honshu, Kyushu, and Shikoku. And that's why in the trailer the narrator says, "We are beyond the edge of Japan." Next, the narrator, which turns out to be this guy, says that all the Ronin are looking for you. So the edge of Japan has to be ruled by these Ronin or maybe even bandits. Very similar to how we had the island of Iki expansion. It was considered this lawless area away from the mainland of Japan. Next, we'll see a poster of you, which if anyone can read this, let me know what it says, but it seems like some kind of wanted poster. The art style is what caught my eye. Looks very similar to all the mythic tales that we've done in Ghost of Tsushima. Then the guy asked, "You still think you're the hunter?" And we finally get a close-up of the main character, which I don't know why this guy's asking, because the main protagonist looks exactly like a hunter from Legends. Hunters are always portrayed with some kind of fur garment. The hunter class in Legends is the only female character, and is of course based around the main story character Tomoe. Now as we get a wider shot, we can see more of what the main character is wearing and what they have equipped. The first thing that stood out was the gourd on her waist. This is another thing we got from Legends. A gourd can be equipped in the Ghost Weapon 2 slot, which can heal you and provide other stat benefits. Now if this is the main way of healing, this is a major shift from Ghost of Tsushima. In Ghost of Tsushima, players had to spend Resolve, which was gained through combat, to heal yourself. This made Resolve builds super strong because as long as you could gain Resolve, you can heal infinitely. Not only was Resolve used for healing, but also for offensive abilities like Heavenly Strike. This could be a huge shift if Ghost of Yotei is not using Resolve to heal, but instead having a limited use of heals to maybe increase the difficulty. Next up, we can see in every shot she has a shamisen on her back. A shamisen is a 3-stringed instrument, I guess kind of similar to like a banjo, and was commonly used in kabuki or Japanese theater. More on that later, so keep that in mind. Now just like how Jin carries a flute around everywhere, where you could swipe on the touchpad to play it wherever he went, and depending on which song you play could actually change the weather. I'm guessing this new main character has a similar mechanic, where she just plays the shamisen instead. Now the only thing is that the shamisen is played with a bachi or some kind of pick, which looks like this, but from this trailer we don't know where she'd be storing that. Finally, the last detail that I want to point out is the waistband that we see blowing in the wind. Now this isn't a traditional waistband or an obi sash, and it seems more like a memento of some kind. I wanted to bring up the art at the very end of the trailer, where she's actually holding this sash. She's surrounded by swords stuck into the ground, which probably means she's lost a bunch of people that she cared about. And this sash is the reminder of what happened and probably how she's gonna get her revenge. As this shot continues, it pans up to the sky, which I gotta say, it looks absolutely amazing. I've used photo mode so many times in Ghost of Tsushima, lots of them involving night skies, and this one is definitely different. I imagine that Sucker Punch added a bunch of sky boxes, which includes a starry night sky, all with their currently existing dynamic weather system. In the background, if you pay attention to the music, you'll hear a guitar, and towards the end, that shamisen gets added in. Now the style of music, however, is very western. Kind of reminds me of like an open frontier, implying that this north is this uncharted territory, this lawless land, with of course the classic trope of heroes and villains. Next shot, we see Mount Yotei, and it is massive compared to our main character. Knowing this is made for the PS5 with all the hardware improvements, I'm really hoping the mountain isn't just for show, and there's that seamless transition from riding your horse on the ground to slowly climbing up the mountain. Next up, a bunch of horses. I know Mr. Joey Dominguez will like this. He's been wanting more horses in Legends for the longest time, but just more similarities to the Wild Wild West theme. Next we have this shot, and of course if you recognize this, just an absolute nod to the opening scene for Ghost of Tsushima. Of course this one is in a yellow field. Next shot is in a red forest, which we have seen in Ghost of Tsushima, but this just shows that they're bringing back the different biomes in the different areas that you encounter. In Ghost of Tsushima, each act had a different biome, which you can probably assume is coming back in Ghost of Yotei. Note the castle on the top of the hill, which we will see later. Next is a restaurant or a store of some kind. If you look at this guy right here, outfit he's wearing looks very similar to what you can get in the Iki Island expansion. There's a variation to the traveler's attire called the Raider's Regalia, which kind of has a similar style. So I'm guessing that both Raiders and Ronin occupy this lawless area. Next we see another variation to the sky. This one has the Aurora Borealis. These changes will definitely make this game even more beautiful. We get a clip of the snowy area, which I'm guessing is the top of Mount Yotei. Now she is in pretty deep snow. Not sure if we had this in Ghost of Tsushima, but the trail effect that she leaves behind is just another visual improvement to the game. Next up we got this standoff, which I'm pretty sure is a duel. We see her drawing her sword just like how Jin does, and in the background we could see the banners flying, which of course is the marking for a Ronin duel. So Ronin duels confirmed coming back in Ghost of Yotei. Next we have a shot inside the castle or stronghold that I mentioned earlier, with our main character facing up against these menacing figures. Now usually trailers only show the beginning of a story, and usually you want to introduce antagonists early on to stories. So I think that this guy in the middle is our main antagonist for this game. We just look how crazy his helmet is, kind of similar to the antlers that we have in the Sakai armor. We got a guy on the left with this really tall hat, kind of like the Sarugami helmet, and the guy on the far right has horns kind of like a bull. So if this is the main big bad in this story, I could see the guys behind him being his commanders. It'd be cool if you have to face off against the commanders first all throughout the story, and at the very end you finally face off against this boss. Next we finally get a close-up of this sash that she's carrying around all throughout the story, wiping some of the blood of someone she just killed onto it. It's pretty legible, so if you could read it, let us all know down below in the comment section. Next we see that wolf again that we saw in the beginning of the trailer. We get that female reveal, and then they both look in the same direction, which implies that they are working together. Really, this does make sense if she is a hunter. It's common for hunters to use animals like dogs to help them, and I see this no different. Now mechanics wise, this wolf is a companion and could be used things for like guiding or directing players in a certain direction. But what I'm really excited about is if this is incorporated into combat. It'd be awesome to see this wolf as a skill or kind of ability that you use. And personally, I like combat to be less equipment heavy and more skill based, with different skills to be used at different times. This could evolve into different combos, which I'm going to compare to God of War, where playing as Kratos, you kind of use Atreus as a secondary move to combo. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the weapons. She has two swords. We haven't seen this before, so my guess is that this is a new stance. I don't think that in Ghost of Yotei we're going to have the same stances: moon, water, wind, and stone. But I think we're going to have 4 different stances, but still effective against a certain type of enemy. Next we get quick glimpses of armors, weapons, and possibly even skills. First clip has a very unique armor set. I'm guessing this is a mythic one. First of all, the mask looks absolutely badass. The helmet is definitely over the top, and if you notice, the helmet gives you long hair. You know how I mentioned kabuki or Japanese theaters? The long hair and the combination of this pose looks very similar to kabuki performers. Now there is a performance called Renjishi, or 2 lions, both depicted with long hair, and the first performance is thought to be held in 1860 during the Edo period. Putting all this together, I think that our main character possibly worked in a kabuki theater. Something bad happened and everyone she knew from the theater perished. Maybe she was blamed and was forced to escape up north, and this is a journey to either get strong or kind of level up in this area, or to chase down those responsible up north. Alright, going back to weapons. Okay, the sword. The sword is abnormally long, so this isn't your typical katana. Most likely this is an odachi, equivalent to a long sword. We also see the sword on fire. This could be a return of the ability Way of the Flame. Also in Legends, the Samurai has a similar ability called Raging Flame. And moving on to the next shot, we get another new weapon. This is a Kusarigama or Chain Sickle. At first I thought it was a return of the grapple hook, so that's something that still needs to be revealed. There's got to be some kind of mobility tool that will be returning. Again, this could be another stance, very much switching stances to different weapons that you can have equipped. And if this is the case, I really like this choice. In Ghost of Tsushima, you're really just using one katana and changing the stances, mostly just to be effective against a certain enemy. With different weapons, this could promote differentiations in playstyle. If I just really like the way the sickle played, or just how the animation looked, I might choose to always use the sickle no matter what, even if it's not effective. Again, similarities to Legends where you're kind of forced to a certain stance and as a player, and then if you do run into an enemy that your weapon is just not effective against, you need to find a way around it. Because of this shows more skill expression in the choices that you make, both on a competitive and a more casual level. Okay, next we finally see the double swords in action. Looks absolutely cool. And then the reveal of a gun. Now at first I was kind of skeptical about this, but taking into account the time period this takes place in, and how guns are kind of similar to how bow and arrows work in Ghost of Tsushima, I really just see this as another ranged alternative, but just adapted to the time period. I'm sure Sucker Punch will balance this well by limiting ammo count, maybe reducing the accuracy, and making it less effective against a certain enemy type. With that, that's everything that I picked up in the trailer that got released. If I missed anything or got something wrong, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you learned something, drop a like and consider subscribing. As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope to catch you in the next one, and GG's.